one more time, start with the verse here. It's a very interesting verse. Samhatyan yon yam ubhayos tejasi shar samvrite avritya rodasi kamcha bavridhaterka vahnivat. Translation is, when the rays of the two Brahmastra combined, a great circle of fire, like the disk of the sun, covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The heat created by the flash of a Brahmas resembles the fire exhibited in the sun globe at the time of cosmic annihilation. The radiation of atomic energy is very insignificant in compared to the heat produced by a Brahmastra. The atomic bomb explosion can at most blow up one globe, but the heat produced by the Brahmas can destroy the whole cosmic situation. Comparison is therefore made to the heat at the time of annihilation. And if you are cooking something, if you can put yourself on mute, that'll help me. Okay, thank you very much. So this verse talks about heat coming from two Brahmas that had collided. So what were those two Brahmas that we are talking about?
One released by Ashwatthama, and to counteract, the one released by Arjun.
Arjun, okay, very good. And I'll also like to welcome Priyanka Mataji and Smriti Mataji there. Okay, and then on our Zoom call, just wanted to quickly see, we have Arati, Garima, Suruchi, and Varshana Mataji. Thank you so much. And you can unmute yourself whenever you have to speak, so that'll be helpful there. Okay, so those were the two Brahmas that had collided. And a great circle of fire comes over there, right? So what does the verse tell you about fire? What Sanskrit word is used to talk about fire? Vahnivat. Yes. Thank you, Sonal Mataji, for 20 points there. And what did this was that this, when the two Brahmas combined, right? When the rays from the two Brahmas combined because they had collided with each other, then we had a great circle of fire. And that great circle of fire, what it did was it covered all of the outer space. So where is it written outer space in the Sanskrit verse? Where is it?
Kamcha.
Yes. Kamcha. Very nice. And then what is the word that talks about covering it?
Samvrate.
Samvrite. Samvrite. Yeah.
Samvrite.
Samvrite means to cover it. Okay. All right. And then, yeah, you can mute yourself after you're done speaking. We are recording this call, so it doesn't look good if there are noises. Then we have, it talks about that it covered the whole firmament of planets, right? So it covered the whole firmament, complete firmament. Complete firmament means sky. So it covered the whole sky. Imagine a flash that covers, a very bright flash that covers the whole sky. So if you look out the window, and any window of your house or any door, or if you go out and you look up, all that you see is a bright flash over there. So that's the kind of a resultant action that we had from the combination or from the interaction of these two Brahmas that were there. And they covered all the outer space and the whole firmament of planets. All the planets were also covered over there, right? What is the Sanskrit word for both? Ubhayo, right? Thank you. Ubhayo means for both. Now, for those of you who are attending the morning Bhagavad Gita class, right? Where is the word ubhayo used?
Ubhayor madhe.
Senayor ubhayor madhe. Very good for 50 points. Where Arjuna goes and tells Krishna that you take the chariot in the middle of both the armies. So ubhayo means both. Okay. All right. And then in second chapter, again, we will come and we will visit Ubhyor again in the context of, spirit as well as matter, in contrast of spirit with the matter. Okay? And then in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about that this flash that was created was as much as it is created at the time of cosmic annihilation, right? And so there's also there's a word that you gave me for covering, right? Samvrite, right? So samvrite is something that covers. Okay. So one thing that might come to our mind is that all along we have been talking about Brahmastra and how wonderful they are and how much more better they are than the nuclear weapons that we have these days, right? I mean, these days the approach itself is very different, um, in the sense that we just explore and explore and explore the material energy, and just using all our mechanical means, we just go and okay. So I'm going to mute everybody on the Zoom call. Sorry about that. And I won't allow you to unmute yourself. You'll have to raise your hand to speak because I'm still getting some noisy lines over there. Okay. So here we go. And so we were talking about the Brahmas being, very precise. And the difference is that we go and explore and explore and explore. And we just use that, our intellect, our muscle power, our brain power, and the material ingredients that are available to us outside. That's all that we use. Right? But when it comes to Brahmas, the approach is different because there are mantras, and obviously the mantras you are praying to God, right, or his representatives, so that you can get that astra like that. So, and they are very, very precise. We've had talked about Brahmas in contrast with our nuclear weapons, and we had said that the nuclear weapons are such that that if you drop a bomb, and we know there were 2 atomic bombs that were dropped in Japan, that they will go and attack anybody, innocent or the guilty. Everybody is killed, and not only those who are present, even generations to come get affected by that, right? In contrast with that we talked about that the Brahmas are more sankalp driven. That is, when you invoke the Brahmas and you're chanting the mantras, you will be having a determination and a sankalp or a goal to say that, okay, I'm invoking this Brahma so that it can go and do this, for example, annihilate the entire clan of the Pandavas, like that, right? And similarly, when later Ashwatthama will direct the Brahmas towards the womb of Uttara, right, to kill Parikshit Maharaj over there. Then the Brahmas went and only just, affected Parikshit Maharaj, who was in the womb. And it did not have any effect on the mother. So you can imagine how much directed and how much pointed it is, that it's entering through the mother into the womb, but it doesn't affect the mother. So that is how it is, like that. So these are weapons which are controlled by mantras, and so they will behave in a certain way. After all, Brahmas is still not a transcendental weapon. It is still made from here, maybe invoking some subtle mantras and things like that, but it's still a material weapon. It's not like a Sudarshan Chakra, right, which is transcendental. So you will see that on one hand, these weapons are so directed that they can just, remove everybody else and just go and just affect the target. But on the other hand, we also see that when the 2 Brahmas collided with each other, the result was something very, very different, right? So it says that when the heat that was created resembled the fire exhibited in the sun globe at the time of cosmic annihilation. So that's how it is, that's how when they collide, it happens like that, right? And he said that it was, the radiation of, and the Prabhupada says that the fire exhibited by the sun globe at the time of cosmic annihilation. So cosmic annihilation is the annihilation that happens at the time when the different types of annihilations that happen, right? One annihilation is, we do it. You decided to mow the lawn. You decide to pull all the weeds out of your garden. So there's some annihilation going on there. There'll be a lot of weeds that will be killed in one go. So there are certain annihilations that we do. Then, of course, one country wages war against the other. So there are some annihilations there that happen. Annihilation means to destroy life. And then we have annihilations that happen because of Adi Devik, right? Adi Devik misery. And that is you have tsunamis and earthquakes and volcano eruptions and things like that, right? And then there would be annihilation, like a planet falls down and disappears, or it gets burnt by a meteor that visits it. So that is another annihilation. Then there are annihilations that happen at the end. So these are annihilations that are always happening during the day of Brahma, right? And then during the daytime of Brahma, when that's over and he goes to sleep, then another annihilation happens. And at that time, half of the planetary systems, out of the 14 planetary systems, half of them are inundated with water. They are filled with water, right? So that's an annihilation that happens. And everybody in that planetary system either will die, or if they have enough of credits, then they will go and move to the upper planetary systems like that and continue their devotional service, because higher the planetary system, more devotional service you're getting there. Then at the end of Brahma's own life, when Brahma is ready to die, which is he lives for 100 years, right? And at the end, and those are 100 of his years. And 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about Sahasra Yug Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidhur Yatrim Yug Sahasrantam Teho Ratri Vidhu Janaha. So he says that 1,000 cycles of, and a cycle is one Kali Yuga, one Dwapar, one Treta, and one Satyuga. So this is one cycle. And so 1,000 such cycles make up one day of Brahma. And similar duration is the night of Brahma, right? See, so that means that 2,000 cycles of the yugas, the 4 yugas, make up one day of Brahma. And his month has got 30 days. His year has got 12 months. And Brahma lives for 100 such years. It's a really long lifetime that he lives, right? Goes into trillions like that. And at the end of that really long period of time, another devastation happens. And in that devastation, everything is burnt down. So there is a heat that is produced, and the entire universe, all the 14 planetary systems are going to be annihilated. They will be burnt together with anybody who is there. You know, any living entity that is there will also be burned down, right? And everything gets sucked back into the womb of Mahavishnu or Narayan. And when he exhales out again, then all these universes will start coming out and Shrishti has to begin again. So at the time of this cosmic destruction means that the universe is being destroyed. So at that time, there is a heat that is produced, and that is known as Samvartaka fire, right? So the next verse talks about the Samvartaka fire. Okay, so let's take the next verse also, and I will give you the link to the next verse, which is number 31. Okay, so link number 31 coming up. Those who are on Zoom can tell me by typing in the chat window, and those who are on sound call, audio call, can unmute themselves and you can let me know whether you got it or not.
We got it.
You got it? Okay, good. So we'll just go to that one and we'll just see how it's going there. Okay, so the next verse here says, and let me bring it up for me also. Drishtwastra tejastu tayos trilokan pradahan mahat dahyamana praja sarvaha samvartakam amam sata. And what does it say in the translation? all the population of the three worlds were scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada: the three worlds are the upper, lower, and immediate planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe, and all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvartaka fire. No planet, therefore, is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think, right? So when the two Brahmas collided with each other, the heat was like the Samvartaka fire. And we all know that I go and stand out for a long time in the sun, we get sunburned, we could even get skin cancer, like that. The sun is very, very powerful, so powerful that we can't even raise our face towards it and look at it like that. And if you look at it, then there are chances that we can become blind. So sun is so very powerful. Now, what happens at the time of this cosmic annihilation is that the heat that is produced from the fire, and that fire is the Samvartaka fire. It's called Samvartaka fire. And so the heat of the Samvartaka fire is like 10 times the heat of the sun. So it's 10 times like that. So we see that all the people, all the population on the three worlds, they get scorched by this heat of these two weapons which are there. And they started thinking that, oh, this is the time of annihilation, like that, right? So, so we have to remember that it is not that at the end of this Kali Yuga that this kind of a thing is going to happen. This happens, at the end of Brahma's whole life. And this fire is known as Samvartaka fire. So at that time, the temperature of the sun will become 12. Did I say 10? It'll increase by 12 times. So 12 times it's going to be there. And then what's going to happen is that after there is heat, right? So those of you who are from India, you know that after we have the hot summer season, then what happens after that?
Monsoon.
You have monsoon, correct. So you have monsoon and you get a lot of rain. So similarly, after everything has been, devastated in the fires and things like that, and, it starts from the bottom, lower planetary systems. People start going up to the higher planetary systems and things like that. And then some are still there, still remaining, some still remain. And then the rains start. So the rains start falling down. And then these rains are going to inundate all the planets. So all the planets are going to be submerged, right? But then in water, God will save just a few. So in order to save the few good souls at that time, and also to preserve the Vedas, right? To preserve the Vedas, what the Lord does is that he comes in the form of a fish. Pralayapayodhi jale drishtavan asivedam vihitavahetra charitramakedam keshavdhita meena sharira jai jagdish hare jai jagdish hare jai jagdish hare. So what does Krishna do? He takes the shape, Keshav, Dhrita, Meena Sharira. He comes in the form of a fish, like a very big fish. And then that fish will act as a boat and will give protection to the Vedas, which would have sunken into all this water that is there, right? And he'll also save a few good souls so that next time we can get started with Satyuga. So that is what happens. So that heat, when this Brahmas were colliding, people were reminded. Those who have heard from the Vedas about this, they got reminded. It's not that, and Prabhupada says that in the purport, that it's not that the heat, that these Brahmas are the same as and equivalent to the Samvartaka fire. Okay, so we have to keep that distinction in mind, because the Brahmas is still created and can be invoked and can be made to manifest at the wish of a jiva soul, right? So although we might just say that it sounds like a Samvartaka fire, these two collided and people are getting, scorched by this heat, and some might have even died because of that. But it is not sufficient enough to annihilate the entire universe. The Prabhupada is saying that, right? So it's not sufficient. That kind of an annihilation, when the entire universe has to be finished off, happens by the will of the Lord. So those kind of things, Lord has to first will it, and then he might ask one of his agents to, do the rest and make it happen. But that can happen only, so dissolution of the cosmos can happen only under the will of the Lord, right? Otherwise, all these Brahmas and all can only affect the 14 planetary systems. So inside a universe, we have got 14 planetary systems with millions of planets in each one of them. And our verse was talking about today that there were people in the three, right? They talked about three systems, right? Let me go to the words again. And so verse number 31. All the population of the three worlds were scorched. So what are these three worlds that we are talking about, right? And I'm talking about 14 planetary systems, and the verse is talking about the all the three worlds, right? So what happens is that these planetary systems that we have, these 14 lokas, as they are called, they are divided into three groups. They are the lower planetary systems, the upper planetary systems, and the higher planetary systems, right? So what is this deal about, higher and lower planets, and where can I go, right? And how do I go? Like that question can be asked, that question can be raised. So we have Bhagavad Gita that will tell us, and I've posted the link to the Bhagavad Gita. If you can confirm to me, that'll be great. Okay, you got that? Okay, very good. So let's go there to Bhagavad Gita, and the verse is 14:18, chapter 14 and 18. Does anybody remember what chapter 14 is all about? What does 14 talk about? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. The modes of material nature, exactly, right? And so this verse says, Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishthanti rajasaha jaghanya gunavrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. What does it mean? In the translation, Prabhupada says, those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Purport: in this verse, the three results of actions in the three modes of nature are more explicitly set forth. There is an upper planetary system consisting of heavenly planets where everyone is highly elevated. According to the degree of development of the mode of goodness, the living entity can be transferred to various planets in this system. The highest planet is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where the prime person of this universe, prime person means the one who was born first, Lord Brahma resides. We have seen already that we can hardly calculate the wondrous condition of life in Brahmaloka, but the highest condition of life, the mode of goodness, can bring us to this. So if we continue to be in the mode of goodness, then we can become a resident of Brahmaloka. The mode of passion is mixed. It is in the middle between the modes of goodness and ignorance. A person is not always pure, but even if he should be purely in the mode of passion, he will simply remain on this earth as a king or a rich man. But because there are mixtures, one can also go down. People on this earth in the mode of passion or ignorance cannot forcibly approach the higher planets by machine. In the mode of passion, there is also the chance of becoming mad in the next life. in the mode of passion, there is also the chance of becoming mad in the next life. So now you know. The lowest quality, the mode of ignorance, is described here as abominable. The result of developing ignorance is very, very risky. It is the lowest quality in the material nature. Beneath the human level, there are 8 million species of life, right? That's why we say 8,400,000, like that, right? So there are 8 million species of life, which is birds, beasts, reptiles, trees, etc. And according to the development of the mode of ignorance, people are brought down to these abominable conditions. The word tamasa is very significant here. Tamasa indicates those who stay continuously in the mode of ignorance without rising to a higher mode. Their future is very dark. There's an opportunity for men in the modes of ignorance and passion to be elevated to the mode of goodness, and that system is called Krishna consciousness. But one who does not take advantage of this opportunity will certainly continue in the lower modes. So, given that and reading that, in which mode is our dear friend Ashwatthama?
Mode of ignorance.
Mode of ignorance, correct, right? He's at the lowest state over there. He just, he knew he could not retreat that weapon, and still he did it, right? So something very interesting that we have to keep in mind is that, so Ashwatthama is the mode of ignorance, and of course he should be punished, right? And he will be punished. But the thing to note is that who is responsible for this? Is it just Ashwatthama?
Father Dronacharya, because he never corrected him, and he was always envious and he was always siding with the real thing.
Yeah. So the blame also goes on to Ashwatthama's dad. So we have to keep in mind that if you are a responsible person and people underneath you are misbehaving, then a little bit of that goes to you also. And that is why in Srimad Bhagavatam it says that, that in order to become a guru, or to become a father, or to become a mother, or a demigod, or a person to that other people respect, you can become that, a guru, a father, a mother, like that, only if you think that you can put these people on the path away, from the path of repeated birth and death, that you can, if you can bring up your children in Krishna consciousness, then you should not bring them up. It's very, very clear not to do that. And otherwise, we get the blame, and they will get the blame. And in Bhagavatam, when we are talking about Prithu Maharaj, who is a Sakyavesh avatar of Krishna, he says, it's very, very interesting that, when he was born, a lot of people came and they were praising him. And then later on, when he becomes the king, he's coronated and becomes the king, he gives a speech to his citizens. And one of the things that he did was, to make sure atheists were not there, those who were falsely claiming that they're incarnations of God, then those are also, they were severely punished. I mean, nowadays you see in India, right? There are so many who claim to be incarnations of Vishnu, or I'm incarnation of Krishna, or I'm Krishna himself, or, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? There are quite a few Chaitanya Mahaprabhu roaming around India these days, like that, right? So he was very strict about that, and he stopped all that nonsense in his kingdom. So, and he was also making sure, and he was always advising his citizens, that you have to pursue a route in life that you can go back to Godhead. And also, one of the things that he kept in mind was he behaved like a son. What does a son do? Any idea what does the sun do here? Give me some examples of what the sun does. SUN,
Like
the planet, the planet sun.
provides and nourishes, provides heat, light, and energy, sustains the universe.
Okay, good. Yeah. What else does the sun do? How does the water from the oceans evaporate? Who is the cause of water from the ocean evaporating?
The heat of the sun.
The heat of the sun, right? So the heat of the sun goes there, extracts all that, and it becomes clouds, right? And then later on, the clouds pour rain. The rain falls on top of the mountains, becomes rivers, and the rivers go and then join the ocean again, right? That's how the process is. That's the water cycle we have been reading as kids. So the sun, although takes the water from the ocean as if it's extracting something from the ocean, but at the right time, it gives it back to the ocean. Okay? Similarly, a good king is supposed to extract taxes. They are supposed to tax their citizens. But at the time when it is needed, they should give it back like that. Okay? It's like what the US government is doing these days, right? Sending a check to people's home. Might not be in the same proportion as the taxes we paid, but at least they're trying to give it back. So it's the responsibility of the king to do that. Now, if the king doesn't do that, if the king, which will be president in this case, our case here, if he still simply exacts tolls and taxes, right? Then what's going to happen is, and uses that money for his own enjoyment, then it's an impious activity he's doing, and he will have to suffer in this life or in some other life, like that, right? And interesting thing here is that if you are the king and you are in a responsible position, and you just did not take care of your citizens, you just exacted the toll from them and spend it all on yourself, then you are also becoming liable to suffer from the impious activities of the citizens. Now, isn't that interesting? Right? You did not take care of the citizens went and messed it up, and now you will get a share of that pious activity that your citizens perform. That is bad. So, and then what happens is that you will, number one, the king was degraded, did not do the right thing king is supposed to do, and then he will also, because of the impious activities, the king's own fortune will also diminish, right? Like that. And the interesting thing is that if the citizens continue down the path of Krishna consciousness and they execute the varnashram dharma, they do their duties properly, in depending on who they are, where they are, sannyasi, brahman, vaishya, shudra, like that, and they have got Krishna, they're Krishna conscious, they're keeping Krishna in their heart, then what will happen is that they will be protected, of course, because they are taking to devotional service there. But then the king will also get benefited by that. So it is very, very important for the king to make sure that the citizens are well taken care of by way of spiritual upliftment. And unfortunately, we don't see that happening anywhere these days. In fact, the kings, the so-called kings in all the countries, I think, in this world, are doing exactly the opposite. For example, when I was growing up, in my Hindi reader, the textbook, and the English reader textbook, there were stories of Arjuna, there were stories of Ganga, there was story of Krishna's Leelas and things like that, but Dhruva, they were all there. So we grew up learning about these things. And of course, then as we became older, we would have asked intelligent questions and then being put in the path back to Godhead. But nowadays, the kings are saying that, no, you cannot do that. No, the school textbook should not talk about God. So they are on the other extreme end, like Hiranyakashipu, like that. So they will suffer. They will suffer because of this misdeed. It will be counted against them. It will be regarded against their name, like that. So when we are in a higher position and we have got responsibility, then we better be equipped to do that responsibility. Otherwise, Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pito na sasyat, janani na sasyat, devam na tatsyan, na patischa sasyan. Na mocyate ya samupeta mrityum. So he said, if you cannot, samupeta mrityum, if you cannot deliver your protege from the repeated path of birth and death, then you should not become either a spiritual master, guru na syat, swajano na syat, for your dependents, right? You should not become a guru, you should not become a father, you should not become a husband, pati, you should not become a mother or a worshipable demigod like that. And worshipable demigod doesn't necessarily mean just a demigod, it means everybody, right? For example, if you think that I am the Amitabh Bachchan of India and everybody has, people have opened 12 temples for me and I'm like the big thing, and I should allow them to worship me. No, they are considering you almost like a demigod, which you are not. But again, apart from that, you should not take their worship. Why? Because you are not in a position to deliver them from the path of birth and death. So it's very, very important that the training that a parent gives to the child is an appropriate training, right? And in this case, obviously, we see that Ashwathama was not trained well. I mean, of course, he had some samskaras of his own, definitely, no doubt about that. But then Dronacharya also has a little flaw over there. Right? He told him to use it only when it was really necessary, and of course, Ashwathama thought that it was necessary for him to do that, to release it at a time when he thought he was cornered. Rather than giving up his life, he decided to kill all the Pandavas like that. So we have to remember that Dronacharya will get a little bit of the blame from there also. From that activity, he will get the blame, right? Because one of you had asked me this question, that why, how come why did he give it to him, why did he give him the ashra if he did not know? Well, he had given it to him, he had also given him to how to retract, but he did not follow up to see that the child is doing or not. So our responsibility as a parent doesn't stop by just giving the books to the kids and let them figure it all out. They need our help. They cannot do without it. They will need constant guidance every time. And of course, when they reach the age of teenage, they will reply back to us and they'll do all kinds of things. But um, we have to persist. And in the Bhagavatam, it says that if you are a guru, and all parents are gurus to their children, if you are a guru and your disciple is not listening to your advice, still you have to constantly tell them about the right path, like that, right? And if you don't tell them, then they will mess it all up like that. So here we are in a messy situation. The two brahmas have collided and heat like the samvartaka is coming. Now, does anybody remember samvartaka, something else about the samvartaka? um, does that word sound familiar, samvartaka, like that?
Isn't it somewhat like a rain that is analyzing rain from Indra?
Yes, and can you tell us an occasion when he used that samvartaka rain?
When Krishna had to lift Govardhan hill to protect, then he was very angry that Krishna and the Vasis of Vrindavan did not offer him. Instead, they offered the sacrifices to Govardhan hill. So he got angry.
He got angry with that, right? So yeah. And I'm just trying, Aarti is raising her hand and I'm just trying to unmute her. I'm not able to unmute herself. Okay, Aarti, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. No, actually, I raised my hand earlier, Mataji, because I'm not receiving those verses in text.
Oh, those verses, you're not in that group. Okay, because of that. Okay. Yeah, I will send them to you later on in the day.
Sure. No problem, Mataji.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So let's see. So Indra, and why was Indra angry?
Because the Brajvasis got guidance. They did not offer the sacrifices that they usually used to offer to Indra, and instead they did it to Govardhan hill on Krishna's advice, because Govardhan provides the grass and protection and shady trees for the cows.
Yeah. So you see that that Indra is also unleashing some kind of a weapon. right? It's a water weapon. Samvarta cloud is nothing but a water weapon. Just as Brahmas is a fire weapon, Samvarta cloud is a water weapon. You use water to annihilate. Lots of water, people will drown, they will be annihilated. So just like how Ashwathama has unleashed a Brahmastra, history is telling us that Indra had also done something similar, something very irresponsible. That you have got this huge thing and you are trying to kill. And who was he trying to kill? Devotees of Krishna, the Vrajvasis who are devotees of Krishna. Of course, Krishna lifted, Kanteya prati janehi name bhaktya pranashyati. Literally, he took that. And then he lifted the Govardhan hill and held it on the top of his head. So nothing can beat the power of Krishna. And these stories here are not for us to relish in the Brahmastra and now let me go and dig and find out a book that can tell me about the Brahmastra, and then let me try to chant the mantras that um, I can use to invoke a Brahmastra. Let me find out, can I invoke a Brahmastra in Kali Yuga? You know, we can go down that route very easily. So all these information are very, very attractive pieces of information, and we can get, attracted towards it and want to go deeper into that. But the essence of all this, the essence of reading all these stories and Samvatta and Indra is to see that even a person of the caliber of Indra can get bewildered and take wrong steps. So what to talk about us like that? So that fear of falling down should always be with us, because once we have that fear of falling down, then we'll be more careful about not falling down like that. So otherwise, we might do something like a samvartaka. And we had talked last time about, Brahmastra is not just, a nuclear weapon. We can also unleash our own Brahmastra by way of using our tongue like that, right? Another thing to see from these two verses is that the fire was here. It started from here, somewhere close to Hastinapur, and the heat went all over the universes, higher planetary systems as well as lower planetary systems, and people were, um, fried because of the fire. So what does it tell you? It tells you that even in the higher planetary system, all the way up to Brahma's lok, there is death, there is misery, right? In this case, it was misery from excessive heat, right? So this is that the Janm, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease are going to be there everywhere. So these pastimes and these stories should remind us of these, and our enthusiasm and our energy should go into how I can get out of this cycle of birth and death, rather than staying back here and getting mesmerized into thinking that, okay, let me try this one, let me try that one, let me get this mystic power, let me get that mystic power, like that, right? Because if you take two mystic powers, then you are kind of stalled in your devotional service. It's as if you were going on a freeway and you suddenly decided to take one of the back lanes or the side lanes, right? And now you go very slowly, or maybe completely, you'll be just lost, right? So another thing that Prabhupada also points out here is that people in all the planets were feeling bad because of the heat. And he said, well, so this proves that there are people in the other planets, there are people in the other planetary systems. Because science says that, there's no life in this planet or that planet. Why? Because I cannot see it through my telescope. I do not question my own judgment and my own skills of not being able to see certain things. And it is such a, it's such a no-brainer. I mean, even here in this material world, we are not able to see, ultraviolet, infrared, like beyond those, some lights we are not able to see, but we still know that they exist. So why can't we just extrapolate on that ground and agree that maybe there are some living beings in the planets, and it's just that my eyes cannot see them. I don't have the right equipment to see them, right? If a room is dark and is full of 100 people, just because you can't see the 100 people there doesn't mean that there are no people in the room. And you know what? Whether you can see them or not, they will still exist. It's not that people exist because you are able to see them. That you are not able to see them, so you won't be able to. That means they don't exist. That is not a good theory at all. Right? So they exist, they are there. It's just our faculties are blunt. We are not able to see them properly, right? Like that. So we have to remember that. And then also, these are the planetary systems. And there is heat. Yes, people are getting frazzled, but at the bottom, always remember, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Krishna told, and we did that in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that the soul is immortal. The soul cannot be burnt by the fire. So it doesn't matter whether it is sarmartak fire. And he also says the soul cannot be moistened. So it doesn't matter if Indra is going to put the samvartaka clouds on us, but still the soul will remain like that. The only thing that we should be worried about is that because there is this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, how do I get out of this cycle? Because if I get out of this cycle, if I don't get out of the cycle, then after that, I'm sure to get another body. Right? Now, what type of body that's going to be, we don't know. It depends on our karma in this life. It also depends on our karma in our previous life. It also depends on our consciousness in this life. Right? So that's why urdha gacchanti sattvastho. That's why we should try to be always in the mode of goodness, in the least, if not transcendental. Okay? Because you will get tatha dehantara praptir, right? After and at the end, you will get after janma karma cha medimyam yuvati tattva, that one. So our aim should always be not to go into these species of life, that 8,400,000 species. Let's not roam over there in any of those species. Let's make our aim that we're going to go back to Godhead. We are done. We are enough. We have got enough of troubles. We have got enough of experience over here, right? And I don't even want to go to Brahmaji's planet. I don't even want to go here and there. My aim and my goal should be that I just want to go to the Golok Vrindavan, to go and do proper service of Krishna, like that, right? And you'll be able to do proper service of Krishna if you get a proper spiritual master. If you don't get a proper spiritual master or proper master, then you can end up being like Ashwadhama, who just unleashed the nuclear weapon, and he did not even know what to do. And Krishna had to call Arjuna to the rescue, but it was not an easy task for him either, right? When he's trying to retract it, we have got all these people from all these places who are in all these planetary systems who are getting, affected by the heat over there. Okay? So I'll stop here. It's a few minutes to 5 o'clock. And if you had any questions or reflections, please do bring them up. And Aarti, I sent you the links to the documents we used today. And
Yes, Mataji, I received it. Thank you so much.
yeah, I've also added you on the group. So from next time onward, you automatically get them.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Mataji, you see, when parents guide their children, educate them, and once the children grow up, they have the not right kind of association, and they get affected by that also. So sometimes, I feel only parents should not be blamed that they have educated them, because influence of the society is also, peer pressure is also there.
Yes. So there are percentages of the blame that you will get. Like the king will get 1/6 and things like that. Yeah. The husband gets the blame from the wife of what the wife does. Yeah. So there are percentages there. So it's not solely that the parents are responsible. And also it's not that the kids will go scot-free. They will get the biggest chunk because they are doing it. They have a free will. They are souls, right? They just happen to be your children in this. The children and the parent concept is related to the body. Like that, yeah.
Mataji, I wanted to ask you, we were discussing in one of the lectures about even though the soul is so minute, but there are some needs of the soul. And how do we take care of the soul? I'm not sure if we covered that. It came up again today that nothing can destroy the soul, but then you have to take care of the soul. So
Yeah, it's not
that's a
that
question I had.
it's not that you have to take care of the soul. And the reason for that is because you are the soul. So you have to take care of yourself. And then the question is that if I can't be wet and I can't be dried, nothing can happen to me. Just what is there for me even to take care of myself, right? For example, like, if I go out in the cold, I will catch a cold. If I go out in the rain, I will catch a cold. So I can take care of this body by putting on a raincoat every time I go out. So I'm taking care of the body, right? But on the soul, at the level of the soul, there's nothing that the soul can do. Nothing that anybody can do to the soul, right? Like that, in those terms, in the materialistic terms, by way of, and gross terms, by way of being cutting and drying and moistening and things like that, right? But there's something that can happen to the soul, and that is that the soul, and that has happened to all of us actually. The soul has deviated from its natural dharma of doing devotional service to the Lord, and we have moved away from that. And in order to correct us, this material world has been created. And this material world is a place for us to try to figure it out for ourselves. Okay, you do it on your own. You try to enjoy on your own. You try to control on your own and see how much you can do, right? And here, so there is a concept of punishment, crime, punishment, like that, is there just to rectify it. So how does that happen? How does the soul come here, and what happens to the soul when the soul comes to the material body? That the soul is provided with false ego, subtle false ego that makes the soul believe that you are this body. And this body should actually be utilized only for one thing, and that is to do devotional service to the Lord. But we don't do that. We have got free will. We can use the body to do devotional service to the Lord, or we can use the body to enjoy the material world itself, like that. So when we say that we have to take care, that means that the soul has to take care. The soul has to take care that whatever faculties have been provided to the soul, and which is this gross body, and also the subtle body, which is mind and intelligence, has to utilize all of them so that the soul should ultimately and then always do devotional service to the Lord, like that. So that's the responsibility of the soul to do, because soul has a free will. Like if I come and tell you, the Soni, you should chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra every day in the morning. I have told you, the soul has heard it. But then the soul has got a choice whether you want to do it or whether you don't want to do it. So by making good choices is how the soul is helping herself, like that. Otherwise, if you don't make good choices, then we had read that word, right? That all those who are in the mode of ignorance, they go into the lower planetary systems. Well, they will go and do even worse things. So always be on the lookout, be aware, and be Krishna conscious in everything that you do in your life. Everything. And then you will be taking care of yourself. So what is my protection against the rain, right? What is my raincoat in the devotional service? My raincoats are the 4 regulative principles that I follow. And then I also have an umbrella, which is chanting, listening to the scriptures, going into the association of devotees, trying to live in the dham, and doing deity worship, right? So that way I'll be able to shield myself from the influence of Maya. And it's not a very easy thing to do. It's not a very easy thing to do. Nevertheless, it's not an impossible task either, right? And there's a very nice verse in Brahma Samhita, and I'm just trying to bring that up here. It's from the 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita. If I remember correctly, it's verse number 44. Shristi Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Saktirika. And Aarti, I'm going to send it to the group so that you can confirm that you got it or not.
I received it, Mataji.
You got that? Okay, good.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
here, Soni, continuing on with your question. So this one is saying, and it's also very interesting because it also ties to the verse that we have today. Shrishti sthiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chaye vayasya bhuvanani bibharti durga ichhanurupamapi yasya cha cheshtate sa govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And what does it say? The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the chit potency, and chit potency is God, is worshipable by all people as Durga. So you see a lot of people do Durga, right? Durga Puja, Navratre, this and that, right? And who is she? She's the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane, which is material world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Now, this is such an important thing because we take beating from the three prongs of Maya Devi all our life, right from birth, which is painful, to growing up, which is painful, to living, which is painful, to old age, which is painful, and to death, which is painful. All along, we are going through various kinds of pains in our life, and they are being inflicted upon us through the agency of Durga. So people are really, really scared of Durga. Right? So if you're scared of somebody and you can't fight with them, what do? You try to appease them. You try to make them happy. And that's what the whole world tries to do. They try to make Durga happy. Right? And then, so Durga is a devotee of the Lord, and she has got this thankless task of making sure that we all get punished whenever there's a need to be punished. Like that. But what does the last sentence of the translation say? That how does she do all those things? She does all these things in accordance of Govinda. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Which means that if I go and become pally-pally with Krishna, if I please Krishna, instead of trying to please all the demigods and trying to please Durga and all that, right? Instead of trying to please. Now remember, pleasing one person doesn't mean disrespecting the other. Okay? Be very clear in your mind about that. So if the soul tries to please Krishna by doing devotional service, then what can Durga do? Krishna is already happy with you. And what Durga does, Durga will do whatever Krishna is going to guide her to do. Like that. So then Krishna Surya Sam. Durga is also Maya. So Krishna Surya Sam, Maya hai andhakar. Jahan Krishna, tahan nahi mayera adhikar. So where there is Krishna, Maya cannot come and do anything to you. Like that. So we have to keep this in mind very, very carefully, that we have to take care of ourselves. And so these are the needs. To do devotional service of the Lord is an intrinsic dharma of the soul. And we have to go back to our natural position. And to do that is all these, Vedic methods of doing a devotional service. That. Does that answer your question, Sonia?
Yes, Mataji, it does. Thank you so much.
All right. So now you know what you need to do. Right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
It explains it.
Yeah, it takes patience. It'll take work, but it can happen. People have done that. Dhruv Maharaj found God in 6 months, so he can do that. Yeah. And I was looking at the chat window and I see Garima Mataji had said clouds of devastation. Yeah, Samvartaka. That's what we remembered about that. And for those of us who are watching us on Facebook, Ashna Mataji, Puja Mataji, Govindanandi Mataji, Ram Krishna Prabhu, Arindam Prabhu, and Madan Prabhu, Raja, thank you so much for joining the call. If you have any questions, you can type them on Facebook, you can type them on chat, or you can speak those questions out if you have joined us online. And
I have a realization, Mataji.
okay, please go ahead. Yeah. Very nice.
So I like that point that the devastation fire was gone through the 3 worlds till Brahma. So we should be very careful that all birth, old age, disease will will be there for all the three planets. So only Krishna consciousness can save us.
Yes, yes.
And I have a following question. So Mataji, this all spiritual master Krishna consciousness is only in Earth planet, or it is there in all the planets, upper planet and lower planet?
It is actually there in upper planets, and more so in the upper planets. The problem with the upper planets is that they also have got a lot of opulence. They have a lot of opulence. So because the jiva soul likes material energy, likes to enjoy, likes to control. So when you go into the upper planets, the chances are that because of the opulence, you might just get entangled in that opulence and forget to do
Okay.
your devotional service. Otherwise, devotional service was done even by Prahlad Maharaj, who was, born in a Asuric family and in other planets. So, so that is there. I mean, for example, look at Brahma, right? Brahmaji, our Brahma from our planet, our universe. So when he was born, he doesn't know anything. He's the only person. Can you imagine the only person in the universe? How lonely is that, and how horrifying it is that, how bewildering it can be. But then he remembers from his previous samskaras, right? It's not that a person is born Brahma. He would have done certain things in the previous lives to achieve the life of a Brahma, to achieve to be entitled to take the position of a Brahma. So he does that. So he's there. So there are some previous good samskaras are there in him. And because of that samskara, and also because he hears God's words and voice that says tapa, and he understands that I have to do austerities, I have to do tapa. So he sits down, he does, austerities for a long time. And then Krishna comes and gives him the Gayatri mantra. And because of the Gayatri mantra, he now remembers everything, how this world has to be created. And he sets down to the path of creation. So from whom does he take this Gayatri mantra? He takes them directly from Krishna, who is his spiritual master, right? And then, of course, we see, several cycles later, we see that same Brahma, because of his power, he's controlling everything like that, and the creation. So he's the big man over there. He does the Brahma Vimohan Leela, right? He takes away all the calves and the cowherd boys, and he just hides them inside a cave like that, just to test Krishna. So first you learn from somebody, and then you try to test them. It happens. So these are some of the things that you can get exposed to if you go to a higher planetary system. That's why they say that Earth is good, because Earth is in the middle planetary system. So there's opulence is there, yeah, okay, opulence is there, but not like the opulence of the heavenly planets or the higher planets. For example, Brahma's planet, like we know our Earth. What is the color of Earth? What do the scientists tell us? The color about the Earth. What is the color? Blue, right? So our Earth is blue. What do you think is the color of Jupiter? Red, right? Orangish red, I tell you, right? What's the color of Brahma Loka?
White. Shweta.
So white, huh? So saying it in Sanskrit will make it right. Varchana. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So Brahma's planet actually changes color all the time. So it will be red today, green tomorrow, right? And we know 12 colors. In the higher planetary system, there are even more colors, which we can't even think, right? So, yeah, so that's Brahma.
And I have a question about the mode of passion.
Go ahead, Sonal Mataji.
So so the mode of goodness and the mode of ignorance is very clear as to what they are. But here it says the mode of passion is mixed. But then it goes on to kind of combine it with the mode of ignorance. Even though it says it's mixed. So isn't there a possibility that you could go from the mode of passion into the mode of goodness rather than, just assuming that we would go into the mode of ignorance?
Absolutely, and that is called positive thinking. Positive thinking and positive reinforcement and positive planning is exactly that. So all these modes of material nature, they fight with each other for supremacy. Sometimes this one wins, sometimes that one wins. It's that, in this stage, we are not in pure, I'm always in pure goodness because I'm chanting, right? Somebody comes and says something to you, very quickly we go into passion, and after that, we go into ignorance like that. It can happen to anybody. And it happens to Durvasa Muni every now and then, right? And so, but we know that from the mode of passion, we can go into the mode of goodness by doing certain things, right? What is passion? Passion is excessive desire, right? Excessive wants, excessive desires, excessive activity, right? Now, if somebody was to look and peep inside the temple a day before Janmashtami, they might think that this is all mode of passion, isn't it?
Yeah, because we are doing a lot.
Lot, right?
Decorating.
Somebody is hanging from the ceiling, somebody is tossing things over there, people are rushing in and out, they're purchasing, somebody's on the phone, they're saying, oh, this is over, there's no turmeric in the kitchen, can you do that? Somebody's like, I can't find my cashews. It's all hustle and bustle, people are washing the dishes, da 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 da, they are doing it. So it looks like complete passion, right? But is it really passion? No.
No, because you're doing it in a Krishna conscious way,
doing it for Krishna, that makes it transcendental. So all the energies that you have, which you are right now, we are utilizing in material pursuits for ourselves, right? For our own enjoyment. That same energy. So we have to remember that vasana is desire. Vasana can never be annihilated. You cannot take mildew and spray your soul with mildew and it'll be gone. Mildew remover and it'll be gone. Vasana, like that. No. Vasana can never be annihilated. Vasana is desire. Desires can never be finished. Only thing you can do is direct the desire in the right direction. So if you have a desire to do management, go manage a temple. Right? Like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now Shastras are telling you that from the mode of passion, you can go into the mode of goodness. Right? Look at Dhruv Maharaj. He started with pure passion, anger, which is bordering anger, ignorance also. He started with anger at her stepmother. He wanted to have a kingdom better than his great grandfather. But then when he sees God and Lord touches him with the conch shell, there you go. He doesn't want any of that now. He goes into the mode of goodness, and of course, later on in life, he gets a transcendental body. So yes, always aim for the moon. And in this material world, there is good and there's bad also. And as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, and be like a honey bee, go after the honey. Don't be like a fly, right? Don't go towards the lower modes. Aim for the higher modes.
But that statement, like passionate people become mad, so that is also a very strong statement.
Yes, it is a very strong statement. And this kind of, yes, this kind of also explains why some people are just born mad. And some parents get children who are mad from the childhood. They are the ones who were very passionate in their previous lives. These are strong things. Yeah. So who is born? And that's why in the first, in the morning classes that we are having on Bhagavad Gita today, we are talking a lot about unwanted children and, children born the proper way. So all these are required. Otherwise, you will attract a soul which is in the mode of passion, and the child will be born as a mad child. And that's it. Our life is also gone now, taken care of, because a mad child requires a lot of taking care. Like that. Yeah. Yeah, so these scriptures are very powerful. They're very, very powerful. And the sad part is that we tend to ignore them. And we call these things as, um, so I was talking to you about the 3 yugas, right? So we have Kali Yuga, Sat Yuga. We have Sat Yuga, then we have Treta, then we have Dwapar, and we have Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is bad, right? Alpayusha Sabhya. So it says that people in this Kali Yuga are short-lived, they are quarrelsome, they are lazy, they are misguided, right? Yes, they are unlucky, and
Unlucky.
then always disturbed, right?
Disturbed.
Always disturbed. So that is what we are. And we also see that the 4 legs of dharma, they actually get broken down. So dharma, the bull, stands on 4 legs during the Sat Yuga. And then after that, in every yuga, one leg drops down, till now that we have come to Kali Yuga, and only he's standing only on one leg, and which is truthfulness. All the other legs of the three legs of Dharma, the bull, are gone, and which includes, like mercy and austerity, cleanliness, they're all gone, right? Only truthfulness remains, that too a little bit like that in Kali Yuga. And so according to our scriptures, if you look at from the scriptural perspective, Kali Yuga is not a good time. It's not a good time at all, right? Some souls might decide, like you all have decided to come and take birth in Kali Yuga, because in a short period of life, right, there's only one, kaler dosh nidherana eko hui mahad gunan. It says that in this Kali Yuga, O king, there is only one good thing about this Kali Yuga, and that is by doing kirtan of Hari, by doing kirtan of Krishna, then you can go back to Godhead just by doing that. You don't have to do severe austerities and things like that, right? So that's one good thing. That's why sometimes people come to Kali Yuga. But otherwise, if you look at Kali Yuga and what people do in Kali Yuga, and we are only 5,000 years into this Kali Yuga, which actually is going to be 432,000 years long. So you can imagine how bad things are going to be there if you have not already seen degradation in your own short lifespans like that, right? So Kali Yuga is a bad part. It's a bad path, and all the Shastras are saying that this is bad. However, what do the scientists tell us? That we are becoming civilized. That people who lived earlier before our prehistoric men were uncivilized, right? And they have got this nice theory of Darwin and monkeys becoming men and slowly standing erect and all that kind of stuff. So what the Shastras say and what the scientists say, unfortunately, is very, very opposite. Very, very opposite. And then the scientists are to blame for coming up with all these things. And this is going to happen in Kali Yuga. For example, we all grew up learning Newton's law. And I used to be very fascinated with Newton because physics was my favorite subject too. And so I was like, oh, wow. So he was standing beneath a tree and then an apple fell down, and he starts to thinking like, why does an apple fall down? And he comes up with this gravitational force and this and that. But so he will talk all this, and people were very, and Newton was a clergyman actually. And so he comes up with all these things. But the thing is that when the scientists will come with all these theories, but they will miss the most important part, right? So the apple falls down to the earth because earth attracts the apple. That's only half of the story. You have to also explain why that attraction is there. Who is that attraction? They forget to tell you that Krishna is that attraction. Krishna is in the apple and Krishna is there in the earth also. That attraction is happening from there. So they will only give you half-baked information, coolly remove all God-related ideas from there. And that's the sad part of science. Otherwise, science and religiosity can go hand in hand together, because science explains to you the material world very nicely, right? And the Shastras can explain to you the spiritual, and the two together you can apply and figure it out, that how I am supposed to live in this material world where I am in a cage or I'm in a fortress, Durga, right? That Brahma Samhita verse that I just quoted talks about that Durga is Durga also stands for fortress, and she's the one who's guarding us all in here and keeping us all in here. So science can tell us that, but it refuses to do that, right? Because we are a demonic civilization, so that's going to happen. It's Kali Yuga. Don't expect anything fantastic here. Just try to get out from here as soon as possible. Don't want to come back again and again like that. And certainly we don't want to be here when the Samvartaka fire is coming, right? It's bad, 12 times the heat of the sun. We don't want to be there at all. Like that. And Radhika Kasturi Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Any other comments or reflections? Otherwise, we'll call it a day on this call today. And thank you for making it an interactive class today.
Hare Krishna, I was thinking of another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is mentioned that down to the Indragopa insect to Indra himself, everybody has to go through these cycles of like even from lower planet to higher planet, these four mysteries exist and all that. There's no point in just getting stuck in them. It's best to take to Krishna consciousness and realize our eternal position of being a servant of Krishna. So I was just thinking of that.
Yes, very good. Astra Indra Gopam Athavendra Aho Sakarma, right? Bandhanu Rupam Phalam Bhajanam Atanoti. Right? So it says Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Cha Bhakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So it says that right from the tiny insect called Indragopa and all the way up to Indra, who is the king of all the demigods, everybody is bound by the karma, right? And so they have to suffer or enjoy the karma, but karmani nirdahati. Nirdahati means dahana, to put fire, burn it. So all the karmas can be burned only by one thing, and which is bhakti bhajam. So if you bhaj, if you worship the Lord with pure love, then all your karmas will get dissolved. That is the only way. I mean, other than small karmic reactions, of course, you can overcome that. For example, if you eat too many gulab jamuns or too many golgappas and your stomach hurts, that's a karmic reaction. You can go and take some medicine, so that solves your karmic reaction, right? But if you are bound to suffer that, then you won't find any medicine in your home and you'll sit with your hand on your stomach like that. That's karma, right? So karmas can be dissolved, cannot be dissolved. But one thing which is for sure is that all these unlimited karmic things which are recorded against our names in all our previous lives, except and all that we are going to do now, and also all that we will do because of our proclivity to commit sins. And the beauty is that devotional service not only annihilates, as like a samvartaka fire, not only does it burn down all your karmic reactions which are there, it also removes your proclivity to do sin, which means that I won't sin any further in the future also. So we come to a very nice state by bhakti. So yeah, thank you so much, Preeti Radhika, for bringing that verse here for us. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. It's about 5:25 now. Vanchukalpatrubhyascha kipasindhubhya evacha patitanam pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Gope Marande, Hari Hari Bol. All right, so give me a Hari Bol. Thank you. Hari Bol. You can type a Hari Bol if you're on Facebook watching us. Put type. And on Zoom.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Danvat Pranam.
Danvat Pranam.
Yeah, so good to see you. Thank you for joining the call, everybody. And I'm going to end the conferences now. Okay. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam.